Welcome to this challenge presentation, How to Create Content to Establish Brand Equity by Rosie Leon. This is a picture of me before I started at the University of Denver. This is a picture of Gary Vaynerchuk, someone that's very important to me that I learned about in a social media class at the University of Denver this past winter, actually. He's a marketing media entrepreneur. He has been creating content since 2006, and he's a New York Times bestseller. So he has a lot of things that resonate within me in terms of what is important when you're creating content to establish brand equity. And this final image is of Kaylee from the TV show Firefly, and this image represents what I knew at the beginning. It was just copy and paste, cut and paste. Maybe I could make it smaller, maybe I could make it, cut some of it out, but I really didn't know how to change the image at all. So this is where I was, and this is what I knew. And I'm going to be reviewing each class and sharing about content creation and establishing brand equity and what I learned in each class about that. Any insights and struggles that I had in each class, I'm going to be sharing with you. So the challenge, how to create content. I want to establish brand equity. Gary Vaynerchuk, known as Gary V on social media, he started with his content creation with a YouTube channel for the wine library, which was his family liquor store. He turned it into an online business right as soon as he saw that the internet was a way of selling things. And he was able to start creating content, especially to establish the brand of the wine library. And then he's just been creating more things ever since. He has written multiple books on the New York Times bestsellers, and he has a model for creating content. And he talks about the importance of documenting what you're doing. So you're not just creating a thing, you're documenting what's going on, and then you're going to cut it down into smaller pieces so you can create posts that you can distribute on various social media platforms. For example, I would take this presentation and I would use my Gary Vaynerchuk section and my classes section and my insights and the feature section and distribute those on different social media platforms to show what I have learned and what is important and to make them into little bite-sized morsels. And creating content is very relevant right now. In my most recent Hallmark movie, there was this grandmother and she was all set up with her lighting and her phone, and she has a hashtag known as the dancing abuela. So it's very cute because there she is just dancing away in front of her video and bragging about how she has 50,000 views. And so it shows that creating content is where we are now. It's not just about watching TV, it is about being the TV and being the entertainment that other people are watching. And we want to make sure that we are creating brand equity, establishing our brand equity when we're creating our content. And here, Gary Vaynerchuk is on the cover of Entrepreneur Magazine, and it says how Gary Vaynerchuk mastered the art of engagement, which is what we want with all of our content that we create. In March 2020, I started my program with experiential learning and communication management with Professor Mia Elizardi. That was an excellent class to start with. I did an industry analysis report on public relations and learned about the fathers of public relations, which are Ivy Lee and Edward Bernays. And I remember Edward Bernays did the Torches of Freedom event, and that was during the women's liberation movement. Lucky Strike wasn't selling cigarettes to women, but through this event, Edward Bernays went and gave the women cigarettes and said, "Show your rebellion by smoking as you march for women's liberation." Then he went over to Vogue and said, "Hey, Vogue, look what's happening over here." So he created content by creating this event, and that helped to open up the market for marketing cigarettes to women. In the summer of 2020, I took two classes, Applied Critical Thinking and Communication and Persuasion and Influence. With Professor Andrea Sisk, I learned a lot about System 1 and System 2 thinking, the fast thinking and the slow thinking. And I learned about the 4 villains of decision making by reading Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath. I also was able to do, my project for this class was like an audio file, a podcast, and I was interviewing myself as my dream job, which would be internal communications director for Aulani, a Disney Resort Hotel. And that summer, I also took Persuasion and Influence with Professor Kevin Curran, and I learned a lot about the 6 Principles of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, and we did a group project here. And then I was learned how to record myself, and someone else put everything together. But it was about not using social media as your media source. And then in the fall, autumn, I had Communication and Society, Theories and Applications with Professor Dave Taylor. And this class was challenging because it was all about encoding and decoding messages. And I used to look at Pretty Picture and think it was just a pretty picture. I didn't think there was a lot more into it, but I learned that there's a lot more into it when we're doing advertising. There's a lot of factors to look at. And I was able to do a project with a mini ethnography survey and just use Zoom for the first time. So that was a new project for me. I was also in business fundamentals that fall, and Professor Bob Nogueira was just wonderful. He was very encouraging. He was very available. He brought in speakers to teach us all the different fundamentals. And in this class, I chose Marriott as my company because I work in lodging. So Gary V talks about talking about what you know. So that's what I know. And I created 2 initiatives, and I learned about being culturally sensitive and making sure the initiatives are appropriate to the area that you are going to be releasing them, and learning all about the tactics of how to execute all of it. So that was really important to learn, and to make a presentation under 10 minutes for the board of directors of Marriott Resort. So that was very interesting, and I learned a lot through that experience. In 2021, the year began in the winter with storytelling through research and measurement. And here I decided to research the movie Serenity and how the marketing or lack thereof affected the box office for that movie. So again, I was taking a topic that I loved and researching and learning as much as I could about it. So that was a lot of fun, and using a data-driven storytelling method to show how the data tells the story of what happened with the marketing of that movie. In the spring, I had strategic public relations with Professor Greta Cole, and this was just a really fun class. It was great for many reasons. She was very encouraging. She was very clear in her guidelines of what she wanted. We were learning strategy and how to plan a PR event, and so I created an event for what was timely at the time, Johnson & Johnson vaccinations, which were very low compared to the other 2. And I set it in the Rose Bowl, and I had a media budget for the whole event, and learned about all the different audiences that would be coming and how to market to them. So that was a really informative class. And in the summer, I took PR writing and content, and there was a lot of writing in this class. There was key messages, there was a PR brief, a news release, a media pitch, fact sheet, opinion letter. So there were a lot of different things that I was able to learn how to do and create content, social media calendar, and how to create posts for that. So that was a lot of writing that had to be done for that class. And in the autumn, I decided to take web graphic productions, Photoshop, and just not do any more writing. And so this image of Kaylee represents where I was. I learned how to change colors and make adjustments and cut things out, but it didn't really look pretty. And so I wasn't really happy with how this image turned out, but it shows how I was in the process of learning all these tools and how to do things. And this year I had social media strategy, where I became Hootsuite certified and social marketing certified. And here is where I learned about Gary Vaynerchuk from Professor Victoria O'Malley. So that was a lot of fun. And then finally, my reputation management and crisis communication class this spring, once again with Professor Greta Cobble. It was a joy to have her be in her class again, have her as my instructor. I learned about the importance of analyzing a crisis before, during, and after. And I was able to, my final project was a reputation consultant for a person that I valued, and was able to show how the situation could be improved. So that was a great experience. And finally, this capstone class with the digital files annotations, the reflection assignment, and this challenge presentation, putting everything I learned together, showing how everything is connected, was a great experience. Thanks to Professor Allison O'Grady. So insights from my courses to my challenge, I think strategy. I learned strategy a lot through a lot of my courses, and that's important to have when you're creating content. You need to have goals, smart objectives, tactics, and metrics. And then your reputation for your online, for establishing brand equity, your reputation is vital. So that involves your performance, your behavior, your communication, multiplied by authenticity factor. Gary Vee says we have to be genuine, we have to be real, with the people. We have to be passionate about what we're doing. And the two quotes that I decided to include here is the best marketing strategy ever. Care. We need to care about what is going on. And we have to be self-aware. Self-awareness is very important. Figure out who you are. Optimize who you are, but never apologize for who you are, because there will always be people that are not interested, that don't care about you, that your message is not what they want to hear. And you have to remember who you are and what you're doing and why you are doing it. I want to thank you for the opportunity at the University of Denver to learn how creating content helps establish brand equity. And we need to know your audience and be genuine. We have to build our online reputation, because that's how they're going to know Rosie's saying this. That's what Rosie says. So that's what Rosie means. And that'll establish my brand equity. My next step is going to be to continue learning through LinkedIn certifications. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to learn and grow. Final images are Gary. You're not lost. You're just early in the process. And we are all there. We're early in the process. Wherever we want to be, we're just early in the process. And this final image shows what I've achieved, how far I've come. I've been able to change a lot of different things in the image, make it prettier, make it nicer looking, and change the colors of the jacket and the background. And I'm very proud of everything I've achieved at the University of Denver. And I thank all of you for this wonderful opportunity.